Hi guys, if you've clicked on this video, you probably are thinking you've googled IIH and this video might have popped up, I'm not entirely sure, but this is kind of my story of how I was diagnosed with it and how googling things and seeing other people's stories has helped me through it. So I guess I should start with the fact that in January I was rushed into hospital because I could not feel my legs at all after a kidney infection, and they didn't think it was normal, so they rushed me into hospital. I was in there for a week, ended up coming back and they were like, no, you're all fine, nothing wrong with you. And so we were like, right, okay, that's fine. As doctors say, there's nothing wrong with you, you think that's fine, I'm like perfect, I'm great, I'm normal. So I was living my life happily, doing everything like a normal 23-year-old would do, going out for meals, having bottles of wine with my best friends, going to parties and all this stuff. And then in March, my wrists and everything and my headaches were getting so much worse, and I thought, I normally suffer with really bad headaches and migraines normally, and I just thought, oh, it's a girl, it's due to periods and hormones, and the doctors won't tell me anything that I already don't know. So I just carried on like normal, thinking nothing was wrong. And then on March the 28th, I think it was, I was at work. I had to do a split shift, so I had to do work in one shop and then change, go to another shop and work the rest of the shift in another shop. I felt a bit poorly, thought this isn't right. So I went to work, carried on my day, thought no, it's fine, and probably around 3:30 I think, I collapsed in the staff toilet. Not the ideal place to collapse because it is such a small space. You're either in on the toilet or you're washing your hands, like the toilet is right next to the sink, so this is not relevant to the story, but it's the worst place someone could collapse. In my books, I'd rather have collapsed on the shop floor or something. And we rang the doctors and we was like, look, I have to collapse, I don't want to ring the ambulance, because when we went in January, they didn't do anything. They were like, oh, well, if it happens, if you still have this whole feeling again tomorrow, you're going to have to go back to the hospital. So I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. My head felt like I'd just been hit by some heavy thing, or like equivalent to an elephant sitting on my head. That's what it just felt, so much pressure. And I was like, it was such a migraine and it's just so not going on. But I thought, I haven't eaten anything to cause migraines. It's just probably one of these things that happens. And went home, could not sleep that night because I was in so much pain. So we went to the hospital in A&E. And whenever my trips go to hospital, I always, no matter what it is, I will pack an overnight bag, because with my history, it is the best plan, because you're prepared for something. If it goes wrong, you can do it. Guffy! Sorry, my cat's meowing, and for a cat that does not meow, he's meowing quite loudly. Guffy! So we packed an overnight bag, thought 3 pairs of clothes would be fine, because I'd never stay in there longer than a week before. So went to hospital and they done the blood pressure, and they laid me on a thing because the way I slept, I felt really dizzy. I don't know, you can't sit up, you can't do anything. And they laid, what? No! This is my cat, people, if you are wondering. This is Garth, who should not be able to meow because he has damaged his voice box, but for some reason he is meowing. But anyway, catching back to the story, I got put on a drip. I had, this nurse came in and told me, obviously, they get your notes from like previous times if you had the same thing. And they said, oh, did you realise that because in January I had an MRI of my spine because my back was hurting and my leg, obviously couldn't feel your legs, so they say it's your spine to do with that. They went, oh, did you realise you had fluid in your spine? And I'm literally laying here on painkillers, so I was literally in and out. I did not know what was going on. And I was like, I looked at my mum to go, what the hell? Because the hospital did not tell me any of this stuff. Any of this stuff before in January. So why are you suddenly now telling me? She's like, oh, I'm so sorry they did not tell you. This is what I've got in writing. And I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Just one thing. It's fine. They might have missed it and not told me, or they thought they told me, but they didn't. So, we then got moved onto a ward, which I think was in Hastings. It is oh my God, I can't actually remember, because this is one lovely side effect of IIH is memory loss, and this is so annoying because I am losing my memory like anything, and it is so annoying. But anyway, I was on a ward for 2 days, and then they moved me to another ward because it was, I think it was a surgical ward, so they said, you're not surgical, so you don't need to do this. So then they had like all these things, and they're going like, is your headaches getting worse? And I was like, yeah, because it's like I was having really bad migraines. I couldn't have the curtains open. They weren't allowed to put the lights on the bay. And it was just getting so bad, like I was feeling constantly sick, and I was on these painkillers, and it's just like not helping at all. So they moved me onto another ward, and then I'd done all these tests, and they'd done MRI scans, they'd done CAT scans, which I've never had a CAT scan before. No, CT scan, sorry. And I don't really want one another time, because they inject this stuff and it makes your body feel on fire. And I was like, oh my God, like she literally said, oh, you're going to feel it for like 10 seconds and it'll go. And I literally, as soon as I got in there, I thought, oh, it'd be easy. It's dead simple. It's not going to hurt. And I thought I was over it. And then she went, I'm just putting the stuff in now. And I was like, I thought this was it. Like, oh my God. And no word of a lie, I felt like my body was on fire. It was such a horrible feeling, but it was over so quickly. And the CT scan showed that I had another cyst on my ovary, which I already deal with for having polycystic ovaries and endometriosis. That is just like another history problem that I've got. But I just thought it's nothing new there. I hear this all the time. Not a thing. So they've done a MRI scan of my head and my brain, and they said, right, okay, your MRI's fine, but obviously you're still in quite significant pain. And I said, yeah. And this is like, we went in from the 29th of March, and I wasn't allowed out of hospital until the 13th, I think it was, no, 3rd of May, sorry. So I was in there practically a month and a bit, which annoyingly was over Easter. So I had to spend my lovely family Easter break in hospital. Not the best thing I could do. Like, I was actually so upset that I had to spend it, but luckily I had lovely people on the ward, and I could not thank them for what they have done to make Easter so much better over there. Like the nurses, I could not fault them because they were so nice. And so then said about, obviously, well, if your headache's getting worse and it's all your symptoms, we suggested about doing a lumbar puncture. And I was like, I think in my back of the head I was like, oh, I remember what this is, but I can't. I was like, is it the thing where they stick a needle in your back? Is it like an epidural? Mum was like, yes, it's like an epidural, but it's not an epidural because it's different, but it's the same principle. It like goes in the same. I was like, right, okay. But in the equivalent of where they put a lumbar puncture, my spine, I think it was, you could not be able to even run your hands down my back, and I would be like, I'd want to punch you because it hurts so badly. And I'd get myself worked up and everything. And then I got moved from, when they said that, I then got moved onto a heart ward because they thought this problem could be something to do with my heart. So I had to be hooked onto heart machines for 2 days. I legit felt like the Terminator because I had all these monitors. Like if you ever needed to go to the toilet, you had to unplug yourself to go to the toilet and plug yourself up again, because they'd moan if you was off the monitor for too long, just in case you do something. So any movement, it would set the thing off. And then like on my one, it'd go, Mr. Beat. And I'd be like, oh my God, my heart's Mr. Beat. Like, what does this mean? That's not normal. I didn't feel anything. And they were like, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. We're not sure why. And I was like, right, okay, that's fine. Because my blood pressure, was getting so high. They were like, well, we need to keep that under control. Like my temperature kept going up, and it just would never, I'd feel cold, but I'd be warm. And so, oh no, it's not the flu. because I think on some other ward they had a neurovirus, so it's like really long. But it was just so much pressure, like it was so bad that I'd work myself up, and 3 days later, after they originally said about doing the lumbar puncture, they said, right, the doctor came around and was like, have they suggested about putting you under? And I was like, oh my God, thank God, because this is the only way in my head that I'd be able to deal with having a lumbar puncture, because I'll just be like, just knock me out. I don't want to know what's going on, because I would move. So on the Saturday, I got taken down for a lumbar puncture about 10:30, I think. And they'd done the lumbar puncture, and I didn't feel it because I'd been put to sleep. And then you wake up in the recovery room, and they legit do say you're not allowed to move for an hour or 2 after a lumbar puncture. You've got to lay flat. You're not allowed to move your head. You're not allowed to move your legs, because they've obviously taken fluid out of your brain. So obviously it needs to settle back down or something. And I used to think that would be so easy. It's not, because you immediately want to move, and you're like, no, it's fine. And then the doctor came around, the neurologist came around and was like, right, a normal LP pressure, whatever it is meant to be 10/20 or 10/20. That's a normal person's pressure. But yours was 35. And I was like, I'm not a medical. I did not go to college to do medical. I just went to college to do childcare. Like, speak English to me. Like, it's not simple. And he practically said, like, this is really high. Like, we need to put you on medication. So I'm on some Isidament. I do not know how to spell it, because I would not, it's all jargon to me. And they said, you've got idiopathic intracranial hypertension. And I was like, I have no clue what this is. So my mum, as mums do, would Google it. And it was so hard dealing with it. And they were like, right, you're going to get headaches. It's going to affect your eyesight, your memory loss. And I thought, I'll be fine. I'll be able to do stuff. And at the moment, I'm still off work, because it is so, the dizziness, the memory loss, my right eye is really funny, because apparently I had an infection whilst I was in a hospital. So they had to watch that. And now I have got to go to an eye specialist at the hospital to make sure that the pressure doesn't affect it, because obviously you can go blind from it. So it's such a scary and big thing. To me, it's hard to think about, because I thought, I'm 23, like, it's not something you want to be living with. You want to be able to go out and enjoy yourself. Like, you want to be able to go out and have nights out, have a bottle of wine with your friends, or go to parties, or doing even simple stuff like going to the cinema. I could not do anymore, because it's so hard on my head, because it just feels like someone is literally like pushing the walls to my head. And it's such a scary thought, because then I thought, oh my God, it's such a thing. Like, I think I read it on somewhere, it's like 1 in 42,000 people or something have it. And I'd be like, oh my God, like, it's something I've got to live with. So it's just something, it can go, but it might not. So it's anyone's guess. But if you are probably still on this video, I applaud you, because I'm so stupid at making videos. But I just thought that if you're going through the same thing that I'm going through, honestly, having other people and reaching out to people that have the same thing is so nice, because they understand you from your perspective, and it is a great feeling. I could not fault it. And having the support, knowing that someone is going through the exact same thing that you are, it's amazing, because you can actually talk to people and they understand what's going through. And it is just a great thing. But I'm obviously so sorry if you've clicked on this and this is what you've got. I'm here, I've got the same thing. So I think if everyone can get together and support each other, if we have bad days, we can pick each other up. And it's such a hard thing to do. And I think if you're having a bad day, you just have to lay in bed with your tea. For me, it's tea and movies, and message a few people that have the same problem, and be able to be yourself and make sure that you don't be down that you've got this illness, is my advice. So yes, it's my little story. It is a bit longer, but I wanted to keep it quite short. Might do another one later on once I know more things about my eyes. But sorry, this is my burping. I can't actually burp, it's just growling. But yes, if it's a thing that you've got, there's people out there with the same thing. That's all I can say, and that we are all there for you if you need us. So good luck with what you decide to do, and yes, we will be here if things happen. And I'd like to hear your stories. If you have the same things, if you go through the same things, if you have a different experience but you've got the same outcome as me, it's so nice to hear other people's stories, because then I know that it's not me going through it but by myself. So we better go, as it is quite late. But I'm so sorry, and I'm happy that I made this video, because then I can look back at it and think, you done well, you've got this far, you can beat it. But yes, good luck, bye.